Hey there, toy collector friends and Star Trek fans alike. Welcome back to the channel. I am the Triple TC, that's the time traveling toy collector, and today I'm doing a very quick sort of retrospective of the first 4 Fanhome Star Trek Starship Collection vessels that we've received so far. Some of you may be further ahead than I am because I didn't manage to get the first wave of subscriptions. I got I believe the second wave, so you may already be receiving exciting future versions from my perspective of ships. But here I am in my own time zone at the beginning of July 2025, and so far we have the Titan, we have the Stargazer, we have the Farragut, and we have the first XL, which is the Enterprise F, as it first appeared in Star Trek Online and then made its Star Trek proper, is that dangerous to say? Star Trek proper appearance within Star Trek Picard Season 3. And I just thought, as we've got the first 4, before we go into, you know, the milestone that is number 5, it would be quite nice just to take a moment maybe to just have a look at some of these ships and how they are well, scaling, I suppose, to an extent with each other, where scaling is even a consideration, and how they generally look, because, you know, sometimes we start collecting things and we fall into the rut, if rut's the right word, of collecting, and we don't always reflect on what we've got. And I thought I'd take the time to reflect and have them sort of as close together as I can get them for the purposes of a single shot video. And I have to say, I am in the main really pleased. I'm really pleased with what they've put out so far. Again, I don't have future ships yet, but I did want to just sort of touch base and see what other collectors are finding to be either their key issues, recurring themes. Personally, I've been, so far, touch wood, extremely lucky. I haven't had any detached nacelles. I know some people have had that. I've had no breakages. I know that the Farragut, sadly, I say sadly, I'm just going to try and take it off the stand without it going mad. I know the Farragut is the only one that I've really had a semi issue with, which is that deflector dish, which I know is a popular topic of discussion. But apparently the deflector dish, it does, depending on the angle, it also doesn't look so bad, does it? If you get the angle right, it isn't quite as problematic. But from a front on, it is a little bit skew-if. But apparently that is how it is. But yeah, so the Farragut for me is the ship that has the least going for it. That doesn't mean it's not a good model. I do think it is a good model. It just, for me, it is the least interesting. It's the least exciting. It's a very, let's say, functional ship. It does all the things that it needs to do to be a part of the collection. The only thing it doesn't do really is excite me in any way, shape or form. But that's not necessarily the ship's fault. That's probably entirely me. We also have the Stargazer, the updated version of the Stargazer, as that appeared in Picard. And I think, you know, I think some of the tampographs on this are very busy, to the point where you almost can't read the registration there for the USS Stargazer. But that said, a lot of the other detail is really great, as we've seen in its own unique video. I think the use of the translucent plastic, where they've used it, is done really well. And it's a lovely ship. It's a really lovely ship, and it's also very nicely evocative of the original Stargazer that we saw in the Next Generation. So I think I think they've done an excellent job with that. And you'll note probably that not all of the display stands are designed in the same way. So we have some that are with the display base is positioned at the back. The Farragut and the Stargazer particularly have done that. But if I just move the Enterprise forward slightly, it's another one that does that. You can see that the Titan is slightly different. The Titan is in the center of its display base. And again, the Titan, well, the Titan A, I should say, really. Another one that does a wonderful job of delivering on the surface details. Good use of the translucent plastic where it's been used. Good use of paint where it's been used. I think some of the recurring details that we've seen that isn't new to us if you've collected Star Trek Starships before is that some of the windows are not matched when it comes to the paintwork, which is frustrating. But it's, again, from a distance, you wouldn't necessarily know that. And I do sort of stand by my earlier point in previous videos where I've said just don't paint them. Either just leave the indentations where they are and don't paint them, let shadow do the work, or don't put the indentations and just put tamper-graphed windows, and then that way no one can say that they're not matching where they should be, because frankly no one would know where they should be because there's no indentations. And then the last ship, I would just say of the lot, the Titan for me is the one that feels the lightest, and adjacent to that, dare I say, the cheapest in terms of its build. Considering how much of it there is, because the Farragut, you'd think that the Farragut, being a sort of small and delicate little flower over there, you'd think that that would be the one that would rightly feel lightest. But for me, the Titan feels lightest, but I think it's also relative to its size and shape. I really don't feel much of the die cast that we all know is supposed to be in there. The Stargazer feels, I would say, right in terms of its weight. And I would say that I would echo that with the Enterprise F. The Enterprise F, beautiful ship, Odyssey class, if I remember rightly. Again, surface detailing, generally very, very good. I love that livery. I love the sweeping nacelles. I love the struts that they're on. I think everything about it. Thanks to everyone that confirmed that that section here at the back is another ship, is an auxiliary ship. I think it's called, now I was going to say it's the Aquarius or something like that. I can't remember. How annoying. I should have checked. I wasn't going to mention it. It just came into my head then to thank people for letting me know that it is a ship. But again, this is quite light for its size, but you can feel the weight of the die cast, which is, it just feels lacking in the Titan. And again, I would expect to feel a bit of weight in this because this is an XL. You know, this is like 20 bucks more than the standard, or 20 quid more, depending which particular financial colloquialism you'd like to use. Either way, it's more expensive, so I would expect not just the size to match it, but the quality of the build as well. So I think it's safe to say, certainly in my experience, that overall this foray by Fanhome into the Starship collection of Star Trek has been pretty successful. I do like the direction they're going in. I'm looking forward to the next few ships. Of course, I'm really interested in the XLs because the XLs mirror some of those key ships that I'm really keen to get my hands on. But I'm not disinterested in the other ships we're going to get along the way. I'm quite keen to see what they give us. But really, I just wanted to sort of throw this video out there ahead of receiving number 5 to sort of check in and go, well, my first 4 overall have been quite good. I've got no major issues, certainly no new issues that weren't you know, around in the days of Eagle Moss and Hero Collector. And actually, in many respects, better customer service now, and excellent communication in terms of the regularity of delivery. Because it's on a subscription, I get regular updates about when they're taking the money, when it's going to dispatch. It's a little bit hit and miss with what you're going to get in terms of the free gifts, but they're a bonus anyway, so I'll just sit back and let them arrive. So, as I say, I'm throwing this out there just to sort of open a dialogue, because I'm interested to know, if you're collecting this range, what are you enjoying most about it? What are the key features of Fanhome's approach to this that you're particularly enjoying? Because that's the sort of stuff that might encourage other people who are tentative about going into collecting a series like this, and who might then say, well, actually, these people are having this experience and it's proven positive. And actually, from what I can see of the ships, they look really good. Because let's be honest, any company that's trying to flog a subscription is going to do the absolute utmost to make it look as good as they can, and convince people to buy it. It certainly worked from my point of view, because here I am having bought them all. And I know it's worked for some of you. But that's why I'm thinking, let's have a sort of Starship amnesty here and share our thoughts in the comments and have a bit of a discussion with people who might be interested in collecting this range, to say, actually, this is where we're at, this is the quality, this is the issues we're having, this is things to be aware of that you may or may not have a problem with, depending on what your particular take on these sort of ships and this sort of collection can be. And let's just sort of share our thoughts, our collective thoughts, and our collective I don't want to say grumbles, because I want to keep it positive where possible, but equally I'd like it to be honest. So if there have been issues, if you've had trouble with breakages, have you had a good response from customer services? Have they been really quick to respond and send you replacements, or what's been the process? Does it match up to the level of customer service you would expect from something where you are paying over time a substantial amount of money? And that's assuming they finish at 20 ships. Given the amount of stock issues they've had, I do wonder if they're going to start thinking, well, there's a big market out here for these ships. Let's extend beyond 20. That's a possibility. And also, if they do extend beyond 20, and it's possibly early days for that now, but if they do, what might you want to see if they upped it to 30 ships? What would you want to see in that last 10 that currently isn't planned for this range and hasn't been released by Eagle Moss and Hero Collector in that first wave of however many ships they did? Love to know your thoughts. Love to hear them in the comments down below. As ever, please do like the video. Do drop a subscription to the channel if you haven't already, so you never miss a future video. I'm really conscious of the framing of this. It's a bit cramped. It's not usually looking like this, but it's looking like this today purely because I wanted to get all four in shot so we can see them almost dynamically next to each other. But I am mindful that this would not be how I would necessarily present them, and certainly isn't how I would present them in my own collection on my shelves. But for the purposes of trying to get everything into shot, sometimes you have to make a few sacrifices to the quality of the shot. That's a bit better. Well, hopefully you've enjoyed this little foray into the first four, not the last, anything, the first four, as we shall call them. Number 5, I'm sure, will be winging its way to me shortly. And in the same way that, in the interest of transparency towards people who might be interested in these, if you are ahead of me in the collection and there are any issues or pointers or things for me to be mindful of with ships that are coming along the line, again, let me know. Let me know in the comments. I'm all for being altruistic and sharing our thoughts with others. But please let me know if there are some ships that you're going, oh, I don't think you're going to like this one. It's a little bit dreary. If you didn't like the Farragut, you're going to hate this one. Or maybe I'm just on my own with the Farragut. I know I'm not entirely on my own with the Farragut, but maybe it's a very small minority of us who are a bit like Farragut, Farragon. But maybe there are others who are like, it's such a beautiful design, it's such a beautiful classic sleek look, it's amazing, what's wrong with you? Whereas this Stargazer business it's busy, it's got too many nacelles, it doesn't know what it's doing. All opinions are welcome as long as they're polite and kind and gentle, and nobody calls anybody I don't know, patach. Anyway, I'm off. Thanks for watching. Thanks for spending the last quarter of an hour with me. Do let me know your thoughts in the comments. I've mentioned it already, but I'll say it again because it's YouTube and there's sort of an obligation that I have to, otherwise I get shot. About liking and subscribing, blah, blah, blah. You know the rule. You know what to do. It's not rules. It's totally up to you. And I'm just glad you spent this time with me. I very much look forward to seeing you, hopefully, in a future video, or maybe even a past video if you want to go away and see something that's already on the channel. I'm sure there'll be something that will be of some interest to you. And in the meantime, it just remains for me to say that things of beauty really are toys forever. Take care. Bye-bye for now.